Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of One More Shot. I am your host, Shane Wynn. These are my guests, Matt Smith and Kyle. I got their names backwards. Kaelen Smith and Matt Kyle. Today, sorry for the brief interruption. I'm trying to have my Twitch stream up on the side and make sure it's working at the same time. I'm very good at this. I'm super good, super professional. Today, they are going to be going to the Kingdom of Soder, a thriving capitalist kingdom comprised mostly of high elves. Very affluent. A lot of people are doing just great. Everything's just great. However, a cleric of the Death Domain, one dispatched personally by the Raven Queen, a goddess in charge of the transition from life to death, has sent her to track down a dangerous entity, one likely to be powerfully infused with undeath. To do this, Kaelin's character, this cleric, has decided that they will need some help in order to track this person down. Soder is a very large kingdom. There are many places to look, and the best place to go to when you're trying to track somebody down are hunters, assassins, people of that ilk. Would you guys like to introduce your characters?
Hi, I'm Kaelen. I'm playing Dagny. They are a death cleric of the Raven Queen. They are a firm believer that sometimes Raven Queen needs someone to die because they've done something wrong, and they go help them die because they deserve to.
Very generous. Very
so
generous.
I'm so kind. I just am sending them to where they need to be.
Call it charity work.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Matthew. I'll be playing the character Vanny. He is a particularly interesting individual. He works for a group of assassins. He can use magic, but he prefers to use other more explosive instruments for what he needs to do.
So these two have been dispatched at this point. They have looked around the main portion of the kingdom, specifically the capital, to start, as powerful creatures are drawn to powerful places. They've looked. There has been little sign thus far. You guys are walking around the streets of the kingdom. You've kind of come up short so far. What do you do as you are tracking down this entity of undeath and you've hit a stone wall?
So, who exactly it is that we're looking for again?
Yeah, it's this guy. He done fucked up.
Okay. Do you have any more information than that? Like appearance at all? Something?
Came to me in a dream.
It did. In this dream that Dagny experienced, like many other dreams where she is tasked with tracking down a particular individual, this one came to her less vividly and more conceptually. They understand the idea behind this person, as this is what connected them to the Raven Queen in the first place. The nature and fullness of their death was interrupted in some way. They are someone who have been slighted in the extreme, and normally this might result in perhaps unfinished business. They might coalesce as a ghost. However, in this case, there was something more powerful at work, and therefore Dagny was dispatched to go and deal with it and stop it.
So, long story short, would love to have better, just waiting for the spidey senses to tickle.
Gotcha. Well then, I guess we can go poke around some particular individuals. Do I know anybody that would happen to deal with undead things in the city?
That's an interesting question for you. You have noticed in your time working within the Kingdom of Soder, in terms of who deals with dead or undead, that falls under kind of the category of faith and religion. There is not much of that permeating throughout Soder as of late. The historical temples and churches and what have you have slowly faded, and it's given over to mostly businesses, industry, and development.
Okay, so...
If you were to look for a temple, you could make me an investigation check.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, let's go with this one. 17.
17. You look. You look in all the right places. You do not find any temples. As you guys are walking the streets, you notice that, per usual in the big cities, there's so much construction. You're on foot, so it's not that big a deal. You just walk around it. But 5 detours later, you're starting to get a little like, is there any city to walk through at this point? You happen across a large theater, the name of which is being taken down, and a new name is being put up, but it's covered currently, so you cannot see who or what it's for. All you see are large signs or banners of a particular industry that seems to be taking over a lot of sections of the developed side of Soder.
Does it have like a business name, or like, who to contact if you're interested in business with these people?
Yes. So the name that you see is a big EZ.
Okay.
Executive Zaros Industries is essentially the name. Zoroth is kind of the end part. But they're for lack of a better term in a fantasy setting, they're a corporation that is starting to kind of just take over everything throughout the kingdom. They have very few competitors as they've started taking over construction, accounting. They own a lot of the merchant guilds at this point. They're getting more and more powerful, and it looks like they're taking over this theater and rebranding it.
Okay, so oddball question.
Uh-huh.
I know you were sent by some mysterious thing with some blob of a figure on your mind. Do you have like any idea about kind of that thing's objective? Like, do they just want to amass power, strength, wealth?
Make me a wisdom check as you think back to this dream you had.
Lord. Cool. That's a 18.
18. You take a moment to pause and reflect on the dream. You think about the emotions and what few visuals there were. And you remember something. There was music in the dream. Songs. It's like when you hear a song and you don't know the lyrics, like written down. If you were told to repeat the lyrics, you'd kind of do that. It was good music. It was soulful. It was engaging. Not that you care. But you recognize good art when you hear it.
Well, I think we're on the right track. These kinds of things, some things stop them dying, and generally that's rage, frustration, or hatred. Those are the 3 things that it usually is.
I point right at the theater and go, well, if I was the person who either previously owned that or was the main star of that, I'd probably be very angry. Why don't we go have a chat with Mr. EZ, as it were?
Yeah.
Or attempt to. I doubt he'll talk to us, but we can give it a whirl.
Yeah, we can try.
Okay. So do you guys approach the construction, or are you trying to go to like the headquarters of EZ?
We'll probably approach the construction to ask them who I can speak to about this.
Okay.
Would be the idea.
You go up and you find the lead. I'm sorry, I don't know construction terms. I should learn that stuff. You go up to some of the individuals who are heading it up, and there's that kind of shipping container headquarters that you see pop up around construction sites. As you go up, there is a lead. I think it's foreman?
There you go.
I think foreman sounds right. I'm probably wrong. You head up to them. The foreman here is a high elf, and you've met high elves before, and typically they are slender, graceful, gorgeous folks. The high elves that you're looking at right now, they're stockier, a little beefier. They don't have the same pure, slender, graceful look to them, and this man is no exception. As he kind of looks at you, he's got just this fat stogie of a cigar sticking out of his mouth as he's kind of poring over a bunch of plans for this building and kind of chuckling with some of the guys. Sees you approach and he just does that one eyebrow. He's got a safety hat on because safety's important. Kind of lifts it up a little bit.
Gonna do for you?
Well, I was
Oh
wondering-
shit, sorry. And he waves his hand all over to get the smoke out of your face.
It's good. I was just curious, who's the... I mean, obviously you're the one in charge of this particular site, but who's in charge of EZ construction and all that?
I don't know, maybe the guy who owns EZ?
Elaborate?
Tag and Zaroth. Are you two aren't from here. I'm sorry, I'm being rude.
Yeah, I don't know who in the hell that's supposed to be. Sounds important.
Yeah, the Zaroth family started buying everything up.
Not from around here.
Yeah, it sounds fascinating.
I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Rich people.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. As a question, do you know where Mr. Zaroth would be located to have a business conversation with?
If you're gonna have business with him, he'd probably be inclined to talk to you. What sort of business? You selling? He'll talk to you.
Yeah, very potentially. That or, maybe brokering a deal of arts of sorts.
Maybe. As far as where he is, guess is as good as mine. He's always looking for the next place to buy.
Does he have like a headquarters of some sort or some centralized area that he generally...
Not currently. He keeps moving.
Is it because he's scared of something?
He's rich. Of course he's scared.
That's fair. That's fair.
The only thing a rich person is scared of is other rich people.
That is also fair. Same with gods, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, anything else I can help you with? If you're gonna walk on the property, we've got some extra safety hats. Gonna be tearing this place down and building it up again.
Is it still going to be a theater?
Of sorts. It's gonna be an opera house. History check.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. 2.
2. The ZC for the bare minimum information was 5. You know, theaters are for poor people. Opera houses are for rich people.
Well, if you wouldn't mind then allowing us to borrow a couple of your hard hats and walk around for a little bit. I'm curious about what this place once was. Just, you see.
Yeah, take a look before it's gone.
Alright. Take one of the hats, put it on.
So, you guys head inside with your goofy safety hats.
Halo just trying so hard.
You walk inside this theater. Walking through an empty building like a theater is a very somber experience. You know that there are any number of memories that permeate each nook and cranny as you look about. You see walls being torn down. There's not much in the way of artwork left anymore. The one thing that does remain is whatever is in the theater. That is the last thing that they're going to be dismantling. As you go inside, there is a massive backdrop, a leftover poster from a time when the theater must have been flourishing, or maybe when it was about to take off, but then the Cinder War kicked up, and likely places like this did not do so well. You look and you see this banner, and in the center of it all there is the Master of Ceremonies depicted. They're a very handsome gentleman with a perfect mustache and just that little notch of a beard, and they're playing a violin, and they have just this ecstatic look on their face as they look about. A whole menagerie of individuals and performers surrounds them like a rainbow. As in this backdrop, they're looking about almost into the theater, and you can see there's just wonder and hope and happiness flowing from their face. It fills you with warmth to see this face. And then a light seems to kind of dim as you realize this is a memory. And it's about to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a tingle.
Yeah.
Spidey tingles go off.
It's the bitch with the violin in it.
Explicitly.
It's the bitch with the violin.
Fascinating. I hadn't thought.
Yeah.
That much hope and desire ripped from underneath the feet
Yeah.
make a soul very angry. I'm gonna go walk up to it and cut out the dude's section.
So to be scale wise, the backdrop or poster is like the size of a backdrop for like a performance like we had for Guys and Dolls. So like enough to cover a whole wall. It is a very large backdrop. That would be the equivalent of picking up a statue that's like 30, 40 feet tall.
Okay, so question then. Is he turned towards the audience so you can see his face in the picture, or is he facing away?
The whole poster is like facing towards the audience.
Okay.
So you guys are kind of looking out over the seats, and you can see this poster is hanging out on the stage.
How high up is his head? Like just his face?
Just you gonna cut out his face?
I'm gonna cut out his fucking face.
All right.
Should we cut a circle and cut out his head?
Okay. Just for brevity's sake, make me an acrobatics check as you maneuver the theater and try to get up onto that.
Not natural 20.
Okay. I'm gonna say you climb like the ropes and everything that are still left over. All the counterweights are kind of shaking as you're suddenly.
Dagny's just kind of like trying to keep it still.
You climb up and you're like skirting this pole that's held up by the ropes and everything, and you kind of hang down and.
Which I will say, you would notice that when he like goes to do it, he starts like kind of like reaching in a pocket. And he's like, "Why am I doing that?" And then he just summons a knife just into his hand and just.
Nice clean cut. You got a big old circle, and now there's an awkward hole in the middle of this massive poster that you pocket, and now you've got a good likeness of this person to reference. So you have a pretty good idea of at least what they look like.
Yes.
You don't know who they are though.
To which that
is there anything? So all the artwork and everything is out. If we were to go backstage in any capacity, are there any any labels on dressing rooms? Is there any ledger? Is there anything?
You go to check it out. There's not much left in the way of paperwork. Everything seems to have been pretty much emptied out. There is the one room with a star on it that says MC, but it looks like the name got scratched out.
Rude. Like
What?
fully gouged, or just like whap?
Whap.
Is there any way to feel an abrasion on where the name may have been?
Make me an investigation check as you attempt to blindsight this.
This isn't gonna be great, but we can try.
Let me pull up my notes here. 9.
9.
Nah. Sorry, it wasn't. It was gouged out, like bashed, like angrily dismantled.
Gotcha.
While Dagny went to go look backstage, I'd have walked kind of back to the foreman, and I pull out the face and just go, "Hey, chap, who's this?"
I'd assume your boyfriend, considering you just cut a big ol' honkin' chunk of poster out to bring around with you.
Well,
I'm pretty sure that's the guy that used to own this place.
Oh.
Know anything about him? Anything at all?
See if he knows anything about the guy that used to own the place. He was, I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I think it was Merrick or something like that. I think that's wrong though. But anyways, his whole deals, he went around gathering all sorts of folks all over the place and said, "Hey, you got anything weird you can do?" And he made a show out of it. He had a wagon for the longest time that went around and didn't cost much to watch, but it was pretty popular with a lot of the local folks. The rich folk didn't like the show too much. Didn't appeal to their taste. And he taps his cigar, the ash falling off of it. Takes a couple more puffs. Far as I understand it, with the Cinder War, timing was a little rough, but he bought this place out because it was cheap, and he hunkered down. And then when it came time to put on the show, there was some fuck up with the paperwork, and he'd been arguing back and forth with them for about 2-3 years before they up and swooped up the place.
Messed up the paperwork. Got it.
I don't know. I just build.
That's fair.
Wreck and build.
I kind of do that. To a degree. Any case, though, absolute pleasure dealing with you. You're a wonderful person. Have a good day. Also, do you want your hat back?
Yeah.
Okay. I put it down. And I go grab this one.
Okay. So.
Or keep it on until I go grab this one. Then I come back.
You have less of a name. You kind of get the sense that he fucked up the name a little bit, but you have a face. You have a bit of a local story. What do you do next?
Right. Once we get back outside the theater, I'll open it again and be like, you know, this guy kind of looks like a P.T. Barnum to me, but
Yeah.
roll back up, put it back in. Well, we can try a few different places, I imagine. An individual dealing with monetary problems with the city. Probably.
Is there a bar near the theater?
Is there a bar?
A tavern of sorts.
Make me an investigation check.
Better. 13.
13? Hell yeah, there's a bar, tavern sort of thing. Let me pull up the name of the bar tavern that I totally have ready. Oh wait, no, I do have a bar tavern ready. Hang on a second.
You played yourself.
Hang on a second. I played myself. Gotta check myself. You find a humble establishment, to say the least. Humble, comical. As you look up at this building, you see things sometimes in your life where you go, am I really seeing what I'm seeing right now? A beautifully carved duck on top of this tavern. Just beautiful, with the most ridiculous set of eyes and goofy teeth, with this just wackadoodle grin on its face. Right below it, in funky letters, The Ugly Duckling.
Oh.
Whoever owns this place, I fucking love them. I don't know who they are, but I fucking love them.
It is truly peak goals for a tavern. What are we discussing here? Something tells me that if there's a theater, the bar gets frequented.
That is probably true.
Okay. So, you guys head in. There's a few people here. It's kind of, you guys are like midday afternoonish time. A couple more hours it might get a little more busy. But at the moment, there's a couple people sitting around enjoying midday meals or snacks. Maybe a 3 o'clock mimosa. Who knows?
It's happy hour.
The halfling that runs this place, completely bald, walks up to you guys, and they've got just this snappy set of suspenders that they're walking around in. Hey, what's up? What you drinking?
Well, whatever your finest alcohol is, probably that. Not necessarily wine, just something.
If you think
strong.
about it, all alcohol is fine if you drink enough of it.
That's probably true.
That is
Actually, no, that is very true. Never mind.
What I'm guessing is you want something that actually tastes good to start.
Oh, it doesn't have to taste good. I just need it to be strong enough to try to knock out a rhino.
Oh, I got some stuff in the back. We usually serve it to Glorious, but he starts kind of going around the corner, moving bottles. You hear clinking and fuck. Alright, I've got this big old jug. And he puts it up on the bar counter. It is this massive clay jug, and as you're looking at it, you're impressed that he got it up there. But he's pretty stocky little guy. He goes, "This is called, the name keeps changing. Give me a moment. Titan Spice. It is a spice rum, and if it doesn't burn your teeth off, you're welcome to keep drinking it."
Alrighty then. I will absolutely drink some of that. What do I owe you for you, my good man?
It's just gonna run you for the whole bowl, or do you want a shot to start?
Let's give a shot to start, but I'll probably end up buying the bottle.
All right, 5 silver for a shot.
How much money do I have, by the way? Just as a
Yes.
baseline? Got it. All right. I hand it to him.
You're an assassin, all right? You got money. You got money, okay? You may as well hand him the John Wick gold coin. Like, that'll take care of you for the rest of your life.
I hand him the 5 silver.
Okay, so you plunk the coins down, and he gets up on the bar. You see that he's wearing nice, clean shoes. He does this thing where he gets his whole body behind it, and he pours with perfect precision into this tiny little shot glass, which proportionately is like 2 feet away. And you're impressed. Does it again for you. Sets it back, hops down onto kind of his bar stool that he uses to navigate the rest of the bar, and pushes the shots in front of both of you, and he waits.
Cheers, mate.
Make me a Constitution saving throw, both of you.
Oh god.
Okay.
Not awful.
21.
21?
15.
15, okay. You are drunk. You're not drunk yet, but you went from sober to there.
Oh, man.
You are considered poisoned for the next 10 minutes. You're okay, but it is going to be tough to fight this off. The flavor of this spiced rum. I don't know if your characters are spiced rum characters. I'm a spiced rum comment guy, but there will be other alcohols in this world, don't worry. The flavor is very much in the way that cinnamon is sweet and delicious, but then you get a whole host of other spices that start making their way through. Ones that you can name and ones that you can't. And it doesn't burn in the way that you're used to spices burning. It's just that really good flavor at first. And as you're just kind of hanging out in this moment of clarity, mostly like it's not overpoweringly sweet, it's just that right area, it suddenly hits you and you both burp almost at the same time as a small gout of flame comes out. Yeah, it's a bit of Titan's touch making that stuff.
My man, how much is this thing? Like the whole thing?
The whole
top
thing?
To bottom.
Whole thing?
Whole thing, top to bottom. What you got?
20 gold.
I hand him 80. And go, "My
Because
man."
why not, I suppose.
Yes, because let me tell you, man, this shit, worth it.
Alright, well, for 80 gold, hang on, let me get you a fresh bottle. And he goes down, pulls the giant clay thing off, and then puts up another one that's like, it's his size. Gets it up there onto the counter. You go to lift it.
Fuck.
It's fucking heavy. This dude is swole.
Yeah, I like tried it, and then I'm like, no,
We're in the same boat.
just go. Alright, I will have to have somebody come and collect this. Can you just write a name on it for me?
You got it. What name you want on it?
Just put Vanny.
Vanny. Is that with an A or no?
Vanni.
There we go. And he has a little piece of charcoal chalk, one of the two. Because barkeeps used to, they used to, like, on the back of the bar, your tab was, like, just tally marks. So he puts in your names in basic runes. So you guys have got some Titans Touch spiced rum. What are you doing now? Assuming you came here for information,
We
but
did. We did.
you got right fuck it up.
Well, my man, beyond that bottle, because holy shit, that was amazing. Beyond that, I have a curiosity, so to speak. I am wondering, can you tell me at all about the... Just like a little more fire. Can you tell me about the theater down the road there, who that might have belonged to once upon a time?
Yeah, let the DM come up with a random name real quick. Alright. It was someone by the name of Marcelo. Marcelo, I think he was last name was a bit funny. I can't tell if it was a stage name or... You said Maverick? Marcelo Maverick used to come here for a drink every once in a while with some random weirdo he dragged off the street.
Was it always that person of the this should not drink that. Did they,
I use it to brush my teeth. And he smiles. Dude's missing some teeth. I'm just kidding. I gotta get me some fakies.
Same person every time off the street, or different?
No, it was usual local weirdos that wander in. You know how it is. People wake up, find out they're weird, and hometown realizes it before they do, and they just decide to up and leave. We get folks from... We had a couple of weirdos from Orin. We've had folks from Texidian. You know, my humble self was technically born there until I established myself at the Ugly Duckling. Let's see. We've had people from Azure DeLon, sea folk. Them interesting folks. We tell you what, you'd think, oh, they need water. They won't make it long without water. They drink some of them sailors around here under the table. Let's see. We had some folks from In-Laws. Yeah, we get all sorts from around here. But he would grab the weirdest ones he could, bring them in here, buy them a drink, talk about what weird shit they do.
Any one in particular, like, really stand out in your memory?
Well, I remember... The one I remember most, bumps me out the most, was the last one he came in with.
Oh?
It's just the last time I saw him. Before the Cinder War kicked up, he was all excited to finally have his whole crew together. He'd been touring around on that shit wagon, and Cinder War started, and then as he came around here, he said, hey, I bought the theater. It was an empty theater, dirt cheap. We was going to open it as soon as the war was over.
And then just nothing happened? Or he disappeared? What?
Well, I'll be honest. That was the last time I saw him. I think he kind of looks at you guys a little seriously. You folks, you don't believe in ghosts, do you?
I believe in a lot of things. I've met my fair share of menageries of madness, so to speak. Ghosts aren't necessarily not real, but they're more often something a little more than that.
Well, this fella, he came by, I'm sure, that one last time with one last weirdo. But one night I was closing up and I may have had a bit too much myself.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looks at the bottle of Titan's Touch. Don't judge me.
Hey, it's your stuff. It's great.
I'd had a lot of folks come in from the Cinder War, a lot of grievances to counsel folks through. They were pretty roughed up from that fight. Saw a lot of messed up things. Seeing them warforged scared the ghosts right out of most people. But that night I got tipsy and was closing up, and I remember serving him a drink again. But he didn't look right.
How long ago was this?
This is about a month ago. I was talking to him about where he'd go, and he said he was heading home.
Did he ever mention where home was?
I try not to judge folks, but seeing him like he was, he wasn't as handsome as he used to be. He wasn't even wearing his fancy red cloak anymore. He was just kind of in... Well, he kind of looks down at himself and... Well, this halfling is by far not, disgustingly dressed. He's definitely a commoner.
Yeah.
Kind of looks down at himself.
Modestly dressed.
If I'd put my thumb on it, he's probably not from the inner city like around here. He's probably from out on the outskirts, and with how many folks died in that war, there's a lot of ghost towns because folks never came home.
As a point of curiosity, when things started going in a kind of gesture outside, as they have been, did you hear anything about where his crew of individuals may have gone off to?
Scattered to the winds. But all of them went to serve.
Then my other question is, the very The last time you fully remember seeing him, do you remember who he was with at all?
When I served him, like the time I'm not so sure I served him.
No, the time before that.
It was
Well, did he come in? Did he have someone next to him? The time you weren't sure if it was him?
Yeah, I think, but they didn't talk much.
Do you remember what they looked like?
Well, there was a really tall lady. She had a big sword on her and some pretty nasty looking armor. There's another fella who had a weird belt and a box on his back. Some funny looking glasses. Man, no, it's too fuzzy. But as far as the last person that was with him, it was what was her name? It was another halfling. Oh yeah, I remember being a little excited for her. I haven't seen a halfling in a while. She had short black hair. And she, where did she work before? I think she was just a waitress at a different tavern, the Awkward Turtle.
I'm starting to like this town more and more.
Yeah, if there's one thing we got right, it's making our taverns.
Can I know this is an old question. Can I attempt to try something? See if I can help your memory get a little clearer.
What are you gonna do to me?
It's just, I promise it will not hurt in any way. It also literally might not do anything. I don't know.
Make a persuasion check.
That's a natural 20 for 27.
Well, fine. You convince this stranger to let you do magic shit.
I'm going to see. I have no idea if this will work because I don't even know if it was that kind of an effect. I'm going to attempt to cast Dispel Magic at 5th level. Kind of on his mind to see if I can clear up any effect that is affecting his memory in any way.
I'm gonna say for the purposes of this, make me a spellcasting check.
Okay. I think it's a 9 to do that. Yeah. Okay. So, like, use my spell attack modifier or my spell modifier?
It is your spell attack modifier because it's proficiency and you're casting.
21.
21. Okay, so the Dispel Magic centers on him. What does your Dispel Magic look like? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, when you cast magic, it's through...
So in the case, it's generally through the gun.
Generally.
But what I do in this case, because I'm not going to pull a gun and point it at his head...
That's what I'm clarifying.
What Dagny and this guy will see me do is he'll see me reach in to under my coat and pull out a bullet. And I just put the bullet on the table and flick it, like at the base, and it whacks him in the forehead. But it disappears the moment it touches him.
So... Well, that's a neat trick.
I could do another one with a card.
Later. He kind of thinks for a moment. Hang on a second. I mean, I remember it a bit more vividly, but not much. Well,
so the individuals that you were seeing, can you give me any more from the two that... The Phantom, let's just call him that for now, that you saw with
that's
him?
Spooky. Well, he was sitting in front of me, and kind of flanking him was the tall lady. She looked like she was in the military, like big shot, like high up there for soda. And the other fella was a half elf. He the belt and the box, it was a bunch of tinkerings. Recognize that stuff from Texidian.
Okay. Did it look like they were there with him or for him?
A little of both.
Like to collect him, but also just kind of with him.
Oh, no, like with him. Like with him.
Yeah.
Like they there was like this oh, it's still fuzzy. I know this will sound weird, but it was like there was an odd mist that came into the tavern when this happened. I figured it was fog had rolled in from outside, but there was like this weird mist.
When you're thinking of those two individuals' faces, can you see them clearly at all?
Yes, clear as day.
Okay. Can you describe the face?
Well, the other guy is kind of the half elf is a slick looking individual, black hair. Well, not much else to describe for him. The lady, she was pretty strong jaw, handsome, is the best way to put it.
Hair color, eye color, scars across the faces.
Eye color. And kind of, as you ask about the eyes, he's like, oh, that's the foggiest part. I know they had eyes. They were looking at me. But, none of their eyes, I can't remember what any of their eyes look like. And I always look folks in their eyes.
As a question, is right now, does your memory just kind of imagine just their eye, but the color just black, or...
It's just kind of like you think, I know I know this one, but it
can't quite get there.
It's just like on the other side of the fence, and the fence is just a little bit too high. Trying to remember that lyric, and it's just like on the tip of your tongue.
Okay. I pull out another cup of cold, set on the table.
Oh, thank you, mate.
Thank you for the information. That, I think, can get us in the right direction of what we're trying to accomplish.
Alright, so, Bald Halfling collects his coin. Enough time passes that you sober up.
Yay.
Albeit you are both still noisy and buzzed.
Yep.
And your breath, normally alcohol leaves you with that kind of bad smell and taste. Right now, the best equivalent you have is kind of like campfire smoke. You know? It's not the worst, but it's in your mouth. And it's what people will smell if you get right up in their face. So, take that as you will.
Okay. So, with that, we have a couple of options.
The outskirts of town, military woman.
Well, military woman, a tinkerer.
Yes.
Those combinations of things are not very common.
No.
Generally, you'd only find that during a war. But this is a little while after. But my also question is, are they like him? Because if that guy couldn't see their eyes, or can't remember their eyes, I have the suspicion they might not have had them in the traditional sense. So to that, I'd say we should probably check out the outskirts first, but before we go there, I need to go write a letter and see if a friend of mine can lend us a hand.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
You gonna write to
the group.
see if someone can help you narrow down where to find these fuckers?
Yeah, well, so the idea is going to be, I'll write this letter, and basically it'll read out as from Zero. I'm in Sota on the job. Currently, I have inquiries as to where this target could be. Things I need answered are, can the dead control the perception of those who view them to such a fine degree that their memory becomes foggy after they leave? What could potentially cause a creature to exude physical fog to obscure themselves even further? And where, and I'll pull out the picture of the dude, and where this individual, and I'll literally draw...
Do a sketch.
Yeah, I'll draw this guy in it and say where this gentleman may have either been, once been, or is. And then I'll seal it. And then you watch as I said I was sending a letter. I just put it in my jacket.
Okay. Moment passes. A few more moments pass. And you know that your letter was sent.
Yep. I know it'll take time, too, to respond and things.
Someone responds within the next 15 minutes.
Okay.
So not too terribly long to give you an update. So first question is, can undead control how they are perceived? Second question was...
What can, like, exude a
what makes fog? And then 3 was where can we find this fucker?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to roll a percentile die to see how many of those questions get answered. The higher the number, the more questions, the lower the number. Actually, if you want to roll it, you're the player.
Yeah.
Roll the big ball.
Vic. 36?
I think.
Yeah, I think it's the 36.
Okay.
It's very round.
I'll say you make me a religion check to see if you can answer his questions about the undead, because why wouldn't you? However, they can't answer anything about undeath.
Okay.
That's a pretty specialized...
16?
16, okay. That's a pretty specialized branch of study, and not one that is...
Their specialty in any way.
You know, not their specialty by any means, and it's an expensive question to ask, and so they basically say, we don't have anybody who can answer those questions on staff.
Yeah.
They recommend you go to the Amethyst Kingdom to research.
Too long.
It would take a while, but when you're tracking a target, it's not like there's a time span for when you guys need to get this done.
Yeah.
You could go literally all over the continent tracking somebody down in order to find them and kill them.
True.
And for you, sometimes you find a target within a month, sometimes you find them within 2 years.
Yeah.
That's how things go. This is a lifestyle. That said, with a 16, you think it's less about them being undead and more about the guy being drunk. His memory was not necessarily altered. It was more so just his state of mind when he was perceiving these things and how his mind reconciled what he saw. Because up until that point, he likely buried it as a hallucination.
Yeah.
Because dealing with undead is scary and traumatizing, and therefore you respond by pretending it never happened in some cases. Or chalking it up to, oh, I was drunk.
Yeah.
That couldn't have been what happened. Now, for what can create a fog, this is kind of where the experience was an interesting description for you. It's less about them not having eyes or them exuding this fog. It's more about him being inebriated to the point to where he may have gleaned a certain amount of true sight. He may have partially been seeing through the ethereal plane. It's a sense of his vision, because he was so inebriated, was no longer just his commoner's senses, and whatever concoction of alcohol resulted in him tripping balls. So you think that might have actually been it, where he thought he was hallucinating and not seeing what it really was. He actually was seeing them as they were, which is entities charged with, for lack of a better term, necrotic energy. The stench of undeath wafting off of them for those who could perceive it. To answer your question, there is a response to that.
The bottom one.
Yes, there is a name. The name Marcelo Maverick is mentioned. You get a brief description confirming a lot of what you guys had found so far, saying, yes, he was a traveling performer. And you see a few more additional responses as people, more than just one person, is answering these questions. It's kind of like a group chat.
Yeah.
You see, oh yeah, I saw one of his shows. He had this person performing, and they did this weird thing with the plates and the tables, and they had too many piercings. They stuck their whole arm through an ear loop at one point. Like, just goofy stuff. Oh, I saw these Loxodons who were tap dancing. It was awesome. It was like thunder, and just everyone's getting really excited, and then there's kind of the general, okay, focus up.
Attention.
One person says they had a chance to kind of talk to him after the show, and he talked about being from the, I don't have a better name for it, the slums of Soder, so to speak. And the slums of Soder are not the same as slums like you and I would know. It's less about them being like just poor and untaken care of, and it's just more about like you're on the outskirts of the kingdom.
Yeah.
Outlying Soder is a lot of the farmland and everything. It's the very edges of the kingdom, and so it's just less developed by comparison. So if you go to kind of the agricultural communities, you'll sometimes find abandoned farms that haven't been claimed yet because a lot of people went off to fight and never came home.
Gotcha.
So there's ghost towns in some cases that you could look into. And he says that, oh, he's from one of them by the lake, which the lake is fucking huge and it goes for a while. But it's you could follow the coast and run across a few ghost towns and eventually find it.
Okay.
Well, that narrows it down.
Yes, to a degree. Still lots of space, lots of questions.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to what these 3, if not more, individuals have truly become.
Well, that's something we can deal with later.
True. Well, the other thought that I'm having is,
If they're with him.
well, they're probably with him, but more who they were. Because they sound of the same odd vein that he was interested in. And I'm wondering if they were people from his show that felt the same way. That were angry at what had befallen them, their other friends. Because if I'm going to be brutally honest here, generally people with oddities, when they're sent off to fight in wars like what was just going on, they tend to be the ones sent on the missions people aren't meant to come back from. So, I have a feeling they lost.
Thanks, Evan, by the way. Evan's watching the show.
Oh, okay. Hey, bud.
Hi.
They probably lost a lot of the friends along the way, which is probably what also sparked the innate rage enough to say, not yet, not yet.
Very fair. Well, I think we should make our way up to the lake.
That's probably best plan. Do we want to just walk there? Or do we want to try to get like some horses or something?
I mean, we can make it quicker.
Yeah, probably. And go find a stable of some kind.
Okay.
Hurry.
You guys, you find a beastmaster who's got some horses for sale or for rent. You grab them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, do you guys really want us to role play buying horses? You guys get some transportation. That way, it's a little more comfortable getting across the edge of the lake. So for this, I'm going to have you guys make an investigation check. This is going to cover the course of several days' travel, possibly weeks.
Well, I'm glad you did better.
17.
17. Two. Okay. You travel outside of the capital for about 2-3 days before you find your first ghost town. Again, sombering experience. As you start checking out the empty houses, looking for signs of who lived there, you hear a knock outside of the current building that you're in.
Goes to, slinks to a window, just barely peeks out.
Okay, you peek. You see a gentleman wearing a wide-brimmed hat, and they've got this brown duster on them, and they are looking pretty grim as they stare at the door. They don't see you out of their periph.
Yeah. I'll kind of have one hand to the side and then go open the door and say, hello?
Okay. You see a pretty tall gentleman, very full brown beard, looking down at you, and he's got a pretty serious look on his face. You mind telling me what you folks are doing in this here town?
Currently attempting to find a ghost, so to speak. Well, 3 of them, at least.
Are you being funny with me, boy?
No, I mean that quite literally.
Make a persuasion check.
9.
Woof.
He looks at you, and he thinks you're trying to pull one over him. He's got a pretty serious look on his face, and he doesn't put his hand on his weapon, but he kind of pulls back the coat a little bit. I'm going to need you two to step outside.
I look towards you.
I'm coming.
Okay.
So he stands you both outside of the building, and again, he doesn't threaten you per se. Listen, there's been a lot of folks who didn't come home from the Cinder War. A lot of, for lack of a better term, burglaries and grave robbing going on. People who are a little opportunistic. I do my best to make sure folks' belongings are respected, while the capital is eventually going to send me some help for sorting out who belongs to what, getting it sent to the right folks. But in the meantime, I don't like these houses being investigated without the proper paperwork authority. So if you two are going to go ghost hunting, why don't you run it by me or somebody else with some authority first? I'm going to let you off with a warning. If I catch you doing this again.
Sorry, it's just, I understand where you're coming from, but I literally have a job to do, and
I'm doing mine there, son.
Fair, hold on. And I open my coat, so you can see what I'm doing, and I reach in and I pull out the giant head, well, the cutout of the dude's head. I unfurl it. Have you seen this gentleman in the last month or so? In any fashion?
He is kind of taken aback because you just pulled out basically like a poster of a head. It's not like disturbing. It's just like, what the fuck did I just see?
Yep.
Is that your boyfriend or something?
No, you're the second guy. You're the second guy who's done that. No, this is the guy I'm trying to find.
Let me see if he recognizes him. Well, hell. Is that old Marcello?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
Roll it up.
he on that traveling wagon came through here and a few other towns. You're looking for him?
Yep.
Looking for the being that was once called Marcello would be the more appropriate way to phrase it.
Well, oh, by the way, Caitlin just tried to call me in the middle of my stream. So rude. Rude.
Bite.
Rude.
He thinks for a moment. He looks a little sad, and he's like, I hate to tell you this, friend, but Marcello's dead.
That's where you're wrong.
Well, not wrong, but not right.
What are you talking about?
So the ghost I'm trying to find, that's him. Like, I was serious.
Hi, by the way, I am Dagny. I serve the Raven Queen. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's kind of important when it comes to souls going to actually rest.
What's your character like visually, really quick? What do they look like again?
Yeah, they are a 5'7" gold-ish skin tone, silver eyes, halo. Asimar.
Asimar, okay. Wearing,
I think I said scale mail.
Okay.
Or like black and scale mail.
Yeah,
like
black and scale mail. Yeah.
bit of a feather tone to it.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is your holy symbol like just on display?
It's probably like at their hip.
Okay, so her holy symbol looks like a few different things. It's typically just like a raven is kind of a good go-to. So he kind of looks you over and he looks at you and he kind of sobers up a little bit. You mean to tell me you folks are actually looking for ghosts?
Yes.
All right. I can look into some registries because Marcello, amongst others, is of course pending investigation for getting their belongings to next of kin, sorting out whose property belongs to who, paying off debts. It'll take me some time, but if you folks don't mind waiting, I can maybe track down where his hometown's from.
That would definitely help. Was there an inn that I was staying at before, like, we met up to do this job? Or question, better yet, does the Ugly Duckling have rooms that one could rent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go back to the Duckling.
When you find the information on young Marcello, if you would be so kind as to either meet us or send somebody to collect us from the Ugly Duckling, if you know that fine establishment with quite the visage.
I'm mostly on the outskirts of the kingdom. I don't tend to frequent the inner capital, but I'll make an exception to get this cleaned up.
Well, I will say, you literally can't miss it. It has a giant duck on it. Like, the top of the building's a giant duck.
Fair enough. So, you guys
Uh,
located, for lack of a better term, a local sheriff
Yay.
who seemed to have some semblance of knowledge of this Marcello. And he's using his connections to track down where Marcello's place of birth, his hometown, might be located. For now, we're going to take a break.
Hey.
Be back in about 10 minutes, probably less. I just need to go to the bathroom.
Fair.
And we're back. So, last we left off on Dragon Ball Z, no. You two had narrowed down a name, a face, discovered two possible allies of your target, learned a little bit about their history. They were an up-and-coming master of ceremonies, a head of a performing company. That fell short. You're unsure exactly what happened, but Vandris kind of nodded towards a few context clues. Likely, the rich folk did not want a big theater of weirdos being opened in the middle of their kingdom. They'd rather have a nice shiny new opera house. So Easy Corp took it away through a variety of bullshit paperwork and bureaucratic nonsense. Not exactly sure the details, but you surmise that that likely didn't sit well with this individual, and the exact circumstances of their death are, as of yet, undetermined. But you do know that would probably piss someone off to make them stay in this life a little bit longer. So you track down where you think their hometown might be to a pretty wide area or radius. Happen across a sheriff of sorts who said that he could use his resources to try and track down where they were from in order to aid you in cleansing the world of this angry spirit. Kaelen, would you be so kind as to let my stupid cat inside? He's by the front door, yeah. So, fun fact, audience, I have an old man cat by the name of Little Brother who loves to yowl all day, inside the house, outside the house, to be let in, to be let out, to be let in, to be let out. I think what he's really just saying is open the door. So,
He has been retrieved.
great. Can't wait for 5 minutes from now when he does it again. So, it's been a few weeks since you guys met with this sheriff, and he has promised that he will get some info to you. Yes?
I was going to say, while we're waiting for this particular gentleman, I would like to attempt to either see if I can have the guild take money from my account to gather information on ghostly entities, or if we can do that in the town.
Probably not in town.
Okay.
But you can certainly make a research request. So, it's a chunk of change. You know, someone else has got to make their living reading dusty old books and asking odd questions. Are you doing anything in this 3-week interim?
Is there a temple of any kind, even just a little shrine, somewhere, anywhere in this city of capitalists?
Make me an investigation check. You got 3 weeks, so
I got a 6.
it takes you the full 3 fucking weeks to find one temple. The temple of the deity that you find, you need to look them up.
Not even my own.
I gotta look at my notes. No.
Sadness.
No. Kingdom of Soder. Where's the stuff with the things? Soder. And I don't read the chat much, Christmas. I'm pretty bad about reading the chat.
We got a show to do.
I got a lot going on in my brain. You find, and part of the reason there's not many temples is because the deities, there's 2 main ones in this kingdom, are Angharad and Shanti. Shanti is the farm goddess, agriculture, fertility, and life, and she's the kind of goddess that doesn't tend to have temples. She tends to have shrines at most. Otherwise, it's more about the practices and dogma that she permeates. Her clerics are very go help out a local farming community. Go travel the land, make sure that nature's being respected. But by and large, she is prayed to by farmers. And so you'll find shrines to her outlying Soder. On the interim is where you expect to have Angharad, because this is a high elven kingdom, and therefore this elven deity is kind of the foundation for a lot of the philosophy, allegedly, of this kingdom. But you take a good 3 weeks to even find anything dedicated to them. You find an abandoned temple. It looks like it's shuttered down and going to be demolished at some point.
Who wants to live in a place that's so unholy?
Leadership of Soder.
They're all looking at each other across the table, just like.
Is there? So it's shuttered, but I'm doubting that there's anybody like really watching it. Is there a hole or anything they can climb into because they just want to?
You look around. I'll say you try the door. It's just shut. It's not locked. Inside, there were pews. You see the outlines of where they used to sit. You see where there used to be shelves and bookshelves and furniture and just those suntanned outlines of where they used to rest. The stained glass windows are removed and replaced with boards. The only thing remaining that even tells you who this temple belonged to is painted in black at the end of the temple towards the front. You just see the outline of the symbol of Angharad.
Well, this hurts my heart, but shell will do.
So, what are you doing in this abandoned temple?
They're just gonna go sit at the base of the image that is still there, and they're just gonna, unloop their holy symbol so they can actually properly hold it in their hands. Just plop down, cross legs, and just kind of sit in what should be a holy place, and stew about the fact that it's not.
I mean, it's probably still a holy place, just not in the sense of
Irreverent.
like, yeah, it's more like probably full of holes.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, give me a little slack, guys. It is only my third stream.
Talking shit.
Talking shit, get hit. Nah, there's lots of little things about streaming that I'm just gonna have to learn as time goes on.
Yeah.
So you pray, and I got a little distracted towards the end. What were you praying?
They're just kind of just general connection with the Raven Queen, seeing if they're wanting to give me a compass point. That'd be dope. But it's not like I have commute or anything.
Make me a wisdom check.
So you do have
Hey, that I can do. That's a 23.
What was the dice stuff? No. 23. Okay. You are sitting in this space, and sitting in an empty shell to another deity. If you don't have faith, sitting in an empty shell to any deity is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This feels off for a good first few minutes until you eventually settle in and start focusing on the tenets and practices of the Raven Queen. Allowing your mind to relax and go blank and become open to communication, influence, and you wait. The air in this room seems too still as you finally enter that mind space of meditative connection with your patron, and you ask for direction. Very humbly, very simply, point me in the right direction. What is next? What is there to be wary of? Just anything that your deity can do to guide you. It comes in the form of emotions. You sense first most commonly the grief that is associated with the Raven Queen, as she is a collector of grief and sorrow. Her fortress of memories is littered with fragments and articles charged with these memories of sorrow. And you see, or rather you sense, grief as someone closes a door, as someone has to give up on something. You sense a spark of defiance one last time. You sense hope beginning to stir, like just before something amazing might happen. You sense a lifetime of feeding that hope and that spark. Hard work, failures, frustration, slowly building towards overwhelming joy. And then you sense brazen fear, like the rug being pulled out from underneath you, and desperation. Sense of surprise, and then darkness. And abruptly, interrupting this flow of memories and emotion, a visual comes to mind. A fairly weathered but kind hand suddenly reaches out, through darkness, through shadow, through obscurity, and tries to pull you up. This is from your perspective, as your hand, someone else's hand, reaches for that and tries to get lifted out. And there is a flash of a visual as a massive skull appears, and suddenly the memory is interrupted. And you open your eyes with a start, and you look around in this room. Well, it is empty. You feel watched. And then it fades.
Can I make a religion check on that skull imagery?
Yeah.
Yeet. Could be that door.
Player's getting sus.
14.
14?
Yeah.
The skull alone is not enough to cue you into who or what this is. The context of what you saw, being a cleric, you know how to kind of read into imagery that you receive. That felt like one of a million interpretations of the moment of death, and someone was trying to intercede to help this individual. But the moment that happened, it was corrupted.
Great.
So, no god or anything, but
okay. Noted.
Dempher, you left. What happened was Matt's character went and asked for questions about undead and stuff, and they're waiting on an answer back for that. And Kaelin's character says, "Don't. Your names are too similar. Don't.
You've known me too long.
Don't at me. I have all these names in my brain. I do my best. I have a goldfish in charge of everything." They prayed to their deity, seeking out a temple to see if they could get some guidance on what happened. And they had a spoopy vision of lots of emotions and possibly an answer as to what exactly happened to their target. Guest mic, raise it a little bit, just a little. Okay. Kaelen, can you scoot a little bit this way, because the buffer is kind of blocking you from the mic. There you go.
There.
Thanks, guys. Outside, my brother and my dad are watching Attack on Titan season final. So, with that sobering experience, we kind of get back to you guys meeting up. You received that morning a letter with some information. Describing specifically these individuals, you gave them what information you had, and the person did their best, but the situation that you're dealing with, they said there is not nearly enough information to narrow it down. They were corporeal and able to drink, apparently. That makes it a little odd for figuring out if what breed of undead you're dealing with. The fog and the lack of eyes in this gnome's memory, they said possibly just an issue with memory, possibly just a visual into them on the other side of things, seeing that they are in fact undead. And then what was the... Make sure I'm getting all the points. What was the other thing you were asking about?
Well, it was mainly if they could narrow down, what these people could be.
Yeah, not enough info.
Okay. The other thing would be, what is best used to combat these particular types of individuals beyond magical means.
Have a cleric.
Got that.
You are warned that it still depends on which flavor of undead you're dealing with, but necrotic damage may not be as effective, because that's what happens when you deal with undead.
Yep.
Maybe. It depends on which one you're talking about and what flavor. You know that as far as non-magical means, just beat the hell out of them.
Okay.
But as far as the most effective means of dealing with them, having someone of faith there is helpful, as they are able to perform certain rites and rituals that counter, that turn, that outright destroy dead. There is also holy water, which is just kind of a one-size-fits-all WD-40 of dealing with undead.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, the almighty Steve, hearing the family outside. So, the sheriff himself walks in and kind of plunks down with you guys. All right, so I narrowed it down where his hometown is. It's on the very edge of the Kingdom of Soder. It's tucked away, and it's going to be pretty hard to find, so I'm going to guide you folks there myself.
Wonderful.
Okay. About how long of a journey is this going to be?
It's going to take us the full extent of the Kingdom of Soder, so we'll be halfway between here and Inlos. It's going to be about a week and a half.
Okay. We just need to gather some supplies then, just to make sure we have food and necessary things for that lengthy of a journey.
Yep. We can do that.
Just as well. Saddles up. You guys get your supplies. Anything in particular you want to try and buy? Or make?
Yeah, can I focus on making some holy water?
You have time to make 3 bottles.
3 bottles.
I'll
of
say
holy
with the
water.
resources at your disposal, but there is not a holy water H-Mart nearby.
Shockingly, with all of the temples being closed,
I just need to double check.
heckin' rude. Heckin' rude.
You're a walking temple.
You're damn right I am. Thou shalt fear me. I am the embodiment of the Raven Queen's wishes. Ha.
Okay, so I have an oddball question. Is there a, shop of magical inquiries or magical things that would be located in Sotor? Because I need a very specific type of item for something.
What's the item?
I need an undead eyeball encased in a gem worth at least 150 gold pieces.
That is specific.
Correct.
Roll me an investigation check, and let me tell you, if you do not roll high enough, you are not going to find what you're looking for.
22.
Nope.
Okay.
You look for oddball antique shops. The ones that you find, fakes.
Screw it, bitch.
Yep.
I just want to encase myself in shadowy flames, but fucking rude ass people can't even get me the correct things I need. Fucking rude.
Carry, bud.
Oh, no, it's like, this is me being an ass. Okay, the only other thing so far, hold on, one sec. I just need to... Does this need anything? No, I am so glad that almost all warlock spells really don't need items, like, specifically. It's so nice. Okay, I do need to get a either a like box of small crystals or glass cones. Would I be able to find that anywhere here?
Yeah, you find a small fortune teller who has actually got a few oddball knickknacks here and there, and you're able to buy those off of her.
Okay. Then I would buy that, and before we depart, I will make
A neutron bomb.
Shh, not yet. No, I will. This is the only one I would need a special item to go with it. I'm going to make one of my spell bullets, and I'm going to make one for Cone of Cold.
Cool. Okay.
Which is what I needed that crystal for. As a mechanical note, the eyeball was for the spell Shadow Moil, which is basically you encase yourself in wreaths of shadowy flame.
Yeah, that's a pretty an eyeball of undead is a very specific kind of thing that you're going to be hard pressed to find anywhere.
Hey, guess what? But we're going hunting for undead.
So
I just need to collect their 6 eyeballs, and then I can do this at least 6 times.
Yeah.
fun fact, fun little use of the mending cantrip. If you smash a gem, but then you put the eyeball in the middle of the gem, logically it would fix itself around the gemstone, and you have undead eyeball encased in a gem.
But yeah,
So,
that was the only 2 things I needed to find.
so you guys got your things. You did not find the eyeball, but you got your crystals for your cone of cold bullet.
Yep.
You start heading out. The weather has kind of been off and on, sunny, overcast, rain, off and on, cold, warm. It's spring.
Yeah.
You guys traverse the continent for about a week and a half, going through dirt roads, sometimes covered by some forest, sometimes open fields and meadows, largely unaccosted. Occasionally there's a local pack of wolves that you stave off. Sometimes you spot things off in the distance that you don't want to deal with. Eventually you pass through 1, 2...
Sorry. I can explain that later.
3, 7 ghost towns, and each experience more sobering than the last. Seeing empty houses, empty shops, one after the other, and really starting to feel the impact of the Cinder War had on this kingdom, specifically the outlying parts of the kingdom. Seeing huge swaths of farmland no longer being tended to and overgrown with wild vegetation, animals running to and fro, fences falling apart, barn houses collapsing inward. It's sad. You press on. You've got a job to do. The sheriff, however, stops within every town and looks around before continuing onward.
When he's stopping, Dagny would be just kind of silent prayers for each of the individuals, although they don't see, they don't know, but the souls here, may they rest here or elsewhere. Asking guidance for all of them, just little prayers as they're going through.
Each time, he doesn't look at you. He just takes in the scenery before pressing on. Eventually, you guys get to what feels, geographically, the very extent of the kingdom of Soder. Now leaving Soder. You find one last little ghost town, and this one is in the worst condition of all of them. This one may have been abandoned long before even the Soder War started. There's little more than 3 houses, a barn house, few pastures where you see old livestock pens may have been, and a well. You guys head into town?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Walking through, your horses stamping into now fresh mud as there's a bit of a drizzle. The sheriff hops off and there's a splash around his feet as he starts walking towards and kind of brushing off some mud from the part of his coat. Looks at the barn house that is basically collapsed inward, sees just the 3 houses that are remaining. He kind of goes, well, this is a place. So what do we do now?
Quick meditation.
Uh,
Where be?
while she's doing that, I'm just gonna look at all the buildings and then just very in my fashion. Hey Marcelo, are you here? Hello, ghost boy. Hello? Are you too big of a wimp? How about the big lady? Or the man with the mechanical box? Anybody?
You know, I think that's the wrong kind of taunting. We came here for a show?
I mean, I guess. Hey, do you have a performance to put on? Like, at all? Like, come on. I want to see some fireworks. Some pizzazz.
So, at first, there was no response, and the sheriff with you kind of eyeballs you both like you're out of your fucking minds, and he's starting to reconsider whether you're seriously hunting ghosts. A cold breeze blows in. And it's not the same kind of cold where your skin feels cold, your ear goes a little numb.
It's your bones.
You feel it in your soul. And for you, Vandris, this wafting is unlike anything you've experienced in a while. It carries rage. Seething, cold rage. For you, it feels like everything from that prayer manifested 100-fold.
Yep.
And while you normally expect an apparition to simply materialize as a ghost, as a person, something of normalcy to begin to happen. Something very unlike anything you've experienced before happens. You feel your connection to the Raven Queen strengthened, which concerns you, as the air begins to fill with a strange fog. Rapidly.
Oh.
It floods the space around each of you, and the horses begin to pull away at their reins and try to yank their way from you before darting off away from you all. The sheriff goes, "Hey, what?"
Let him.
You hear what sounds like a violin,
Yeah.
but the sound is horrifyingly distorted, and it's playing first slowly and then it picks up quicker and quicker, and the sound grates on your ears in this disturbing, strange tone that picks up more, and then you begin to hear what sounds like a drum beat that, as you think about it, is something like a heartbeat, but it has a off rhythm to it. And then stepping through the fog, a handsome gentleman in a red coat with hands glowing a soft, sickly green steps into view, glaring at you.
Good to meet you, Marcelo.
And then he breaks into a wide grin. It's been a while since I've been called that name. I did not realize how far my fame had reached.
Far enough to bring us home.
Unfortunately, I no longer go by that tone. I am Sinister Minister, Undead Minstrel of the Vale Spinster. Admins to you, sirs.
Cool. Noted.
You just hear Vanny just I see this is the game we're going to play today, huh? And you see him reach up towards his face and pull off his glasses and go, "Well, you like oddities and curiosities, I hear." And he shatters his glasses in his hand. "Let's see how you play with me." And I just reach my hand out and use my Hexblade's curse and just train it around him. and just engulf him.
The curse reaches out towards him, and you see as he watches with a smile, and he blinks as the tone picks up, and your curse is countered.
Gross. Counter spell.
Well, so here's the thing.
Oddity is my commodity, or it was.
So you would notice, looking even through this fog, so you know that he has two earrings. The left one is a red heart. The right one is a black 3-leaf clover, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's a symbol for clubs and a deck of cards. His two eyes are two different colors. His left one is green. His right one is purple. However, his left eye, instead of a normal circular iris, is a diamond. His right eye is a spade. And the main reason why I was confused about the thing is it's not a spell
Correct.
that I'm doing. Okay, so it's still okay. Just making sure. I was just like, that can't normally be.
Normally, no. It's a class feature. Normally, class features can't be countered.
Correct. Which is why I was like, intriguing.
Fuck.
That was gonna be fun. Well, if curiosities aren't quite your game, how about some fun then?
He smiles and he says, "Oh, don't worry. Before I go, I will give you a show." And you all hear what sounds like a ripping noise
Oh dear.
that goes in a semicircle around your entire group. And once again, you feel your connection to the Raven Queen heighten to its peak, to where you feel like if I was praying, she must be about to appear before me.
Yeah.
And flanking him on either side, you see as the fog parts just a little bit, and you see those two figures that were described. The slick back hair of a half-elf with two glasses, and his arms are crossed. "Come on, we don't have all day." And he looks over his show. "Come on, don't rush the show. I want them to know." And the woman standing on the other side is just standing mute, hands at her sides, watching the whole thing. Expression blank. And then you begin to hear a cacophony of voices. Low, moaning whispers that start to overwhelm your senses. I need a wisdom saving throw from you both.
Oh no. So Shade.
Yeah? What'd you get?
Well, my wisdom save is +8.
But you rolled a 2.
No, I rolled a 1.
Ooh. Nope.
Well, I got 23.
Okay. So,
What happens?
Your brain melts. Starts leaking out your ear.
as this cacophony of whispers starts overwhelming your senses, you try to reach out to that connection between you and the Raven Queen to stabilize your mind. And you panic. Because despite how close you feel to her right now, you don't feel a response. You don't get a sense of a connection through your faith to her. There's some sort of interference, and it's this cacophony of whispers. And for the first time in a while, you've been nervous about situations before. You feel mortal fear enter your heart. And you know you need to get the hell away from this guy in order to get a hold of yourself.
Yeah.
He's the source, so you have to run. You have to run.
It's dissonant whispers, isn't it?
Something like that. You sprint backwards away from the group, as does the sheriff, from a different direction. You're still standing there.
Yep.
You take 22 points of psychic damage as you flee.
Ow.
And as you blink, the fog is gone, and you're now standing on a gray landscape. Overhead is a dark... It feels like there should be a sky, but there is not. Just a gray overcast. As you look about, you see, as your mind sort of begins to clear, a tear in reality. As you look behind you, you see that fog, and it's starting to close.
Problem. Cool.
You take half of that, so 11 points of psychic damage, and stand your ground.
To that, I go, well, that was quite a neat trick, friend. Wonder who taught you that one. Also, the screaming heard much more wondrous cacophonies long ago. This, not much of anything.
You see his grin tighten a little bit as he goes, then let me try again with a different tone. And he begins playing along his violin. Make me another wisdom saving throw.
Let's see here. We'll see how this one goes. Ooh, that was good. 13.
13, okay. The cacophony stops, and it's dead silent. And you blink, and you're no longer surrounded in fog.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a grand place. Everything is warm, light, and wondrous. This is a place you have not seen for millennia.
Yep.
As you turn, you see yourself off in the corner, preparing some last grand trick. And you're so excited to see how it goes. And it plays in slow motion. The wrong person opens the door. And a horrible thing happens, something you never intended to happen, washes over you freshly. Over and over and over. And that's where he leaves you, as he steps backward into the fog. Do you try to get back through the fabric or through the tear, or do you stay where you are?
No, I go through the tear.
Okay. You rush forward and manage to leap through just in time. Off to the right, you saw the sheriff standing around in confusion and turned and saw you running and sprinted towards his own tear. Okay. He manages to make it just in time. And you guys are all standing alone in the fog. You see him standing there, and his face is contorted with just grief.
Oof.
And there's fresh tears flowing down his face. You take no damage, but you're trapped there for a while.
While in there, I just look at the other me, and I turn to where in the vision he was briefly, and I say, and I imagine I even say it through to where she can hear it, or they can hear it, and I just say, you think I don't remember this? You think I don't think about this every day? Every time I wake up from that wondrous place people call dreams. I don't get to dream. I made a mistake, and I'm paying the price for it every day. This place, this memory you threw me into, oh, it doesn't make me suffer. Yes, I am crying, but just understand, when I wake up out of this, I'm going to tear that soul of yours apart. I swear it by the name I once bore, Vandrus. Vandrus the Fool. And those of you who can hear me know I am here. And if you want to send down all of your wrath at once, go ahead. But I'm going to bury this fool with it. That's all.
You hear this speech after you manage to dive back through into the material plane, almost having been trapped in the Shadowfell. You guys look around. You trapped still in this vision, just on repeat. There's nobody here.
No sounds, no tracks in the mud.
You see where they stood.
Well.
And that is where we're going to leave it off for today's episode. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Kaelen. We'll complete this short story, as this might be a 2 or 3-parter one-shot that we come back to. Sorry for the lack of combat this go-around. I look forward to seeing you all next week's episode. If you missed today's, it'll be up on YouTube as soon as possible. Thank you all, and have a good rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.